Okay, let's go.
You know that feeling, right? When someone says something and it just ruins your day? That sharp, stinging feeling of criticism that feels like a personal attack. It happens to all of us. But what if I told you there's a strategy to handle it, a way to get your power back, and honestly just be happier? Okay, let's get into it.
Imagine hearing that screamed at you. Ouch. I mean, seriously, this is exactly the kind of thing that Frederick Imbo, a football referee, heard all the time. In fact, he actually chose that job, of all things, specifically to learn how to deal with constant personal criticism. And lucky for us, what he figured out is something we can all use. So why does this stuff get under our skin so easily? Why does some random comment or action feel like a personal foul being called directly on us? You see it in big ways, like on a football field, but it also happens in all these tiny ways every single day. I mean, does any of this sound familiar? Someone tailgating you feels like they're personally attacking your driving. A friend canceling last minute makes you feel like you don't matter. And being ignored when you're telling a story, that just feels so disrespectful. In every single one of these moments, our knee-jerk reaction is to think, this is about me. But is it really?
To really understand why we take things so personally, we've got to look inside. Because the real source of that hurt, it isn't just the other person. It's a part of us that gets triggered. A part that's convinced someone else is completely responsible for how we feel. Let's just call it the ego. The ego is that little voice in your head that needs to be right, that craves being acknowledged, and that absolutely cannot stand being criticized. So when we feel offended, that's our ego jumping up and down, pointing the finger and screaming, it's their fault. And that puts us in this constant, exhausting battle with pretty much everyone. And this leads us to a really fundamental choice we have to make. The ego is obsessed with this question right here. It wants to fight every battle, prove every point, win every argument. It's a full-time job, and let's be real, it is completely exhausting. But then there's this question. Choosing happiness means you're deciding to let go of that constant struggle. It means no one else gets to have that power over how you feel. You're free. You can use all that energy for connection and joy instead of fighting all these pointless battles. So the big question is, which one do you choose? So if you're leaning towards happy, I've got a super practical strategy for you. I want you to think of it like a referee's coin toss before a big game. There are two sides, two totally different approaches you can take the next time you feel that sting of taking something personally. Here are the two sides of that coin. Strategy 1 is to realize, hey, this isn't about me, and to shift your focus onto the other person. Strategy 2, if that first one doesn't work, is to look in the mirror and accept that maybe, just maybe, this is about me. Let's break down how each one works. Okay, let's start with heads. It's not about me. Now, I know this sounds totally backwards, right? When we feel offended, we're 100% convinced it's all about us. But this strategy asks us to do a complete 180 with our perspective. It's a simple 3-step process. First, just notice the feeling. Don't act, don't react, just acknowledge, okay, I'm feeling irritated. Second, you have to consciously shift your focus away from me, myself, and I, and put it on the other person. And third, get curious. Ask yourself, why might they be doing that? You know, that driver flashing their lights. Maybe they're not a jerk. Maybe they're rushing to the hospital. See? It just creates a little bit of space for understanding instead of anger. So why is this so hard to do in the moment? Well, it turns out it's a numbers game happening inside our own heads. Get this. Research suggests that we have something like 50,000 thoughts a day, and a staggering 80% of them tend to be negative. Our brain is literally wired to assume the worst. And that's exactly why shifting our focus like this takes real conscious training. But what happens when you try that? You try to see their side, you try to be curious, but it still hurts. The criticism still stings. Well, that's our cue to flip the coin. It's a sign that whatever was said has just hit something a little deeper inside you. We call this hitting a raw nerve. If a criticism truly, deeply hurts you, it's almost always because it's touching on an insecurity, a self-doubts, a part of you that you haven't quite made peace with yet. It's like some tiny part of you is whispering, oh no, maybe they're right.
This is where the orange test comes in, and it's brilliant. Think about it. If I looked you straight in the eye and said, you are an orange, you just laugh at me, right? You wouldn't take it personally for a second because there's zero part of you that believes it's true. But what if someone calls you selfish and you feel that immediate sting, that pain? It's a signal. It's telling you that the comment just landed on a fear you already had about yourself.
So what do you do then? First, you look inward, and you just acknowledge the insecurity. Be honest with yourself. Then, give yourself some empathy. It's okay that it hurts. Acknowledge the feeling, ouch, that stung, and maybe the need behind it, like a need to feel appreciated. And finally, if you want, you can speak your truth, but not by blaming them. You do it by vulnerably expressing your own feeling.
So we've got these two powerful strategies. But underneath all of this is one last really important idea about our own self-worth. And the best way I can explain it is with a simple metaphor. Imagine I'm holding a crisp, clean 20-euro note. We can all agree what it's worth, right? It's worth 20 euros. Easy. But now let's put it through the ringer a little bit and see what happens. First, I'm going to crumple it up into a tight little ball. Think of this as all the harsh words, the criticism, someone attacking you. It's been squeezed, distorted, and damaged. Now I'm going to throw it on the ground and step on it, grind it into the dirt. This is what it feels like to be ignored, devalued, or dismissed. It's been walked all over. So after all of that, after being crumpled up, thrown on the ground, and stepped on, what is this note still worth? Well, the answer, of course, is 20 euros. Its condition has changed, but its actual inherent value hasn't changed one bit.
And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. People might criticize you. They might ignore you. They might try to tear you down with their words and actions. They can crumple you up and step on you. But just like that note, they can never, ever change your inherent value. So the final question is really for you. Will you let someone else's opinion define a worth that you already have?